All right, everybody. Thank you so much once again for being here with us. Today, it's an interesting show. There's this guy that I have been dating and checking him out online. You know, one of those things that you go online and you keep saying, "Man, this guy is amazing. We want to talk to him one day. I want to pick his brain." One of the top, in my opinion, one of the best in the business. Uh, I want to welcome Tauan Salgado from Lakeland United FC, all the way from Lakeland, and I will let him speak about it. I want to thank Edgar once again for being here. I also want to thank Nona Media for opening the studio here for us, and I think this is going to be a cool conversation for somebody that everybody thinks we're rivals, but I think through social media and through the results that we always watching each other and trying to copy the good behaviors and the good things that we do, good practices and stuff. So, welcome, Taiwan. We're glad to have you here, and I want you to tell us what's Lakeland United, who you are, and let's start with that.
Awesome. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you, Edgar, guys, for having me here. Goes, without saying that it's, is the opposite is also true, right? We all I've been following Fabio. I've reached out to Fabio a couple of times to ask for advice, with our little business and our journey. So it's a pleasure to be here to talk. I used to do this a lot during the pandemic, and it was something that gave me pleasure, to speak to the audience about something that we love, soccer that is not just, it's very broad, but also we have a niche, right? The youth and the post grad, the college, system, the USL2, the semi pro. For the kids that play soccer in Brazil, that look to us, and of course me and Fabio both being from Brazil, but also the American kids from all over the world. That world that we live in, it's very niche, although it's still soccer, right? So I always love to talk about a little more depth, right? What it is, what's the difference between playing a club like in Brazil, in Europe, elsewhere, then taking this journey to America and embracing a different type of journey, but that, in my opinion, changed my own personal life, and I think will continue to change the lives of the kids because it's just more robust. It's just a better path, in my opinion. More well constructed for the kids that won't become a pro, right, in the future as a footballer, as a soccer player, but they will have better chances to succeed in life with a system that I've only seen in America. I think Japan does it similar, England maybe, but it's really special the way America does that, here in the United States, and especially here in Florida, how they build a system that will create a path from 3 4 years old until they are going on to college, and after that, that you're gonna actually have a future, that was developed through soccer, but not using soccer as the main force or the main tool, just one of the components of your journey. Um, with us, Lakeland United, our club that we have in Lakeland, we also play in the semi-pro level, same as Nona. Nona plays today, you guys are in the USL2, which is the highest level of semi-pro. We're playing the UPSL, also a good league that goes year-round. It helps us because we maintain a program year-round. The way we design and construct our program and operate, we usually say that the UPSL is just a platform, right, for us to get games every weekend. We may choose to go a different route one day soon, just do scrimmages, just do like high level friendly games. But it's a platform for us to produce players to the next level, meaning 95% college game, right? We have had 5 directly or indirectly kids signing professional contracts in the 4 years that we've been alive as a program. But again, using the UPSL as a platform to operate as a college prep, right? We today don't have the youth soccer, which you guys, one of the strongest, if not the strongest one in Florida, in my opinion. We usually take the kids that are 17, 18-year-old, that are finishing high school, whether here in Lakeland, Florida, United States as a whole, or international kids as well. We have had kids from 39 countries are now reaching the 40 mark now in January, with a couple new countries that we're adding, and just creating them that last path, the last journey, right, to place them in colleges, open doors, right, professional contract, always very very rare for any kid to achieve that so dreamed pathway, but what we try to do is guarantee them that pathway through the college system, through a scholarship system.
Perfect. And Tawan, I think we're gonna talk more in more details about that, but What about you? How did you ended up doing this? Tell us a little bit about your story. All of us, especially working in soccer now, that we went through somewhat of a program back at home, and then
Yeah.
when we came here, we played in college, and we saw a niche. So I want
Yeah.
you to tell your story on how you ended up creating this program that you have over in Lakeland now.
Okay, awesome. About me, myself, and obviously um, how we started with Lakeland United, but going back a few years, some good few years, but in 2008 was my first club in Brazil, Portuguesa, from Rio, not from São Paulo, Associação Atlética Portuguesa in Rio. Me and my brother have a twin brother, and we're both passed on a test to join their U20 team. We play 18, 19, 20, 3 years of U20 in Brazil. It's a little bit different. America is usually always 2 years. In Brazil, the last year usually use those 3 years. And in our last year of U20, we signed a professional contract, a 3 year contract. That was the only one that I ever signed. My brother got an extension for an extra year. He was a better player than I was. But when I was 22, 23, playing in the professional with that club, Portuguesa, didn't have many opportunities. My brother was a starter for 3 years. I was that kid from the U20s that never really broke through. I played I think 8 to 10 games in the span of 3 years, and I remember in my third year, I started looking to the side, seeing some of those guys that were 30, 32, 35, and questioning myself: is that the life that I want to live in? Right? Getting paid minimum wage and could get a little better, but I was very humble and had that humility to see that there was probably a wall that I couldn't break, right? An invisible wall of level that I wasn't gonna go much further than that. And at the same time, I had a bunch of friends that now today way more the past few years, but at that time a bunch of friends that were already taking on the college soccer journey, which I had no idea what was it, but I tend to be a digger, I like to dig and find out about stuff and and do deep researches about markets and systems. And I started learning about a little bit more how I can come here to America and play with the scholarship, right? The infrastructure is one of the main things. Facilities, infrastructure, like with all due respect to my club that formed me as a player in Brazil, Portuguesa. I remember I played in the Taça BH in Brazil, a famous youth tournament. We travel in a bus that is an old bus and stay in like not even a hotel, just a little, we call pousada in Portuguese. It wasn't the best experience as a whole. And watching the videos back then, it was 2013, 2014 of my friends that were here, it was a dream, right? It was a dream. They're wearing Nikes and Adidas and on a big, charter bus and playing, flights to games and going all over the country to play matches. And took that gamble, got a full scholarship to come to University of Texas Brownsville, UTB. They were NAIA back then. It was the only league that me and my brother could get eligible. We got all the 4 years of eligibility. Played that first season. Undefeated national finals, 24-0, 24 games, 24 wins. My brother was one of the MVPs of the Nationals as a center back. I was a forward, just like Fabio, a striker, both of us. And then after that year, in December, they announced they were going to Division One. Now the UTRGV, University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, and we had to move, had to stay in NAIA. So we went to Lindsey Wilson College in Kentucky, which is the winningest program in the NAIA history with 9 national championships. From there,
I had the pleasure to play them.
to play against
tough
yeah,
teams.
yeah. Fabio was telling me this today at lunch. Such a small world, but back in the days, Lindsay was unstoppable. Still pretty good, but anyways, did one semester Lindsay Wilson, and then that passion, I'm not gonna say the passion, but that desire, right, to become a pro, to still be a pro in America. And then I realized how hard it actually is, because when in Brazil, we look, oh, I'm playing here in a low level in Brazil, I can play in the MLS, I can play in the USL Championship, and it's not like that. And I tell the kids every day today, right? It happens every semester and every year with us in Lakeland United, especially the Brazilian players, but European players as well, Asian players. It's not as easy as it looks. The league's been growing, and it's a different game. The type of physicality and intensity that it's played here, it's a different animal that we're used to in Brazil. Anyways, in 2015, after one season, one fall season, one semester at Lindsey Wilson, my brother had this long dream that he always spoke about, that we were going to live by Disney. That was our dream, to live close to Disney. We put on Google, NAIA schools nearby Disney, and we found out about Southeastern University. Fun fact, the captain back then, that was 2015, he scored the first goal ever of Nona FC in the USL2. Who is it?
Pedro Ivo.
Pedro Ivo Diaz. So the captain of Southeastern University, a longtime friend from Brazil, right? We're both from Niterói in Rio, across from the bridge. Pedro was the captain of Southeastern University. We reached out to him and said, Pedro, we want out of Kentucky. we want to go to the good land of Florida. So he talked to the coach, Clay Roberts, and he actually was recruiting a center back and a forward, me and my brother, right? So he brought us to January here, right in 2016 January. We were still a sophomore back then. And then my story with Lakeland, Florida started, right? Did 2 years at Southeastern University, did well. Never even made conference final, but it was okay. It wasn't my goal anymore. And it started looking at the market and how the system is run here, youth level, right? My first ever job was as a youth soccer coach, U13, U16. I went back to coach at Lindsey Wilson College 2019 after 1 year in the youth. And 2019, when I was at Lindsey Wilson College, I met with some of my partners. One is still a partner today. The other one is not with us anymore. And we just devised this plan to create a program that it was not in the youth level. It was after that, right? And today working in partnerships with youth level clubs like Nona, for example, getting kids there all the way through the youth level, getting to that semi-pro age, to that college or not, what's my future now? And that's what we try to still build today, right? And work with a club that is that less, less jump, less, connection. And that's my main expertise today. I tell that all the time. I was telling Fabio today, just my WhatsApp, my list of contacts, I probably have like almost 400 coaches, college coaches. That's what I live for, right? For me, that's the flip of the pyramid, right? That's the end and walk backwards. What is the end? It's a college scholarship, right? It changed my life. I don't talk much about the pro experience in Brazil. I really don't. It wasn't the best, even if I was playing, if I was starting, right? And I tell everywhere that I go, every chance that I can get, my 4 years of college, how that changed my life, how my degree in communications and have a minor in history and major in communications, how that really changed my life, the college experience, the network, right? The America as a whole, including one system, the college system, that if you transfer from Nebraska to Florida, is the same system academically, right? It's the same system of eligibility. I've never seen something like that, like I said before, in Brazil. It was not a surprise because, Americans, number one in a lot of segments and markets, but it's what made me fall in love with this system, now trying to pass it on to the kids and to show them that that's the real path. Here in America, you have a pathway from, 1, 2, until 24, and then you move on with your life.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful story, Tawan, how focused you are from 2008 to now, from when you were playing pro in Brazil all the way to where you are today. What do you think, looking back now and saying, okay, college it's around. We talked about over lunch. What is that click that you had in your life that you can tell people today and say, yes, I was a pro, but I would prefer to come to college and I don't regret anymore. What made you feel? You said it perfectly, like this invisible wall
Yeah.
that you felt like you couldn't breach.
Yeah.
If you can tell 99% of the kids here, what would you say?
Yeah. It's a very good question, and it's a tough subject at times, because when I was in the U20 in Brazil, I remember that even people in my family and friends, and my rock was my dad. Okay, and it still is. He's still alive, but he's living in Brazil. My mom lives here right now. My dad's still in Brazil. My dad's a dreamer. Was a dreamer. Still is. And a risk taker, like you are and I am. And he never let the whole Will Smith on The Pursuit of Happiness. Don't tell anybody. Tell you they're not good enough, or that you cannot dream, that you cannot stay on this path. So my dad was the guy, because I was a young man, very sure of myself, but I had some insecurities of like, is this the right track? Like, I remember me and my brother, we both passed the test for the public university in Brazil, the UF in Niterói, the Federal University Fluminense in Niterói. We both got accepted. I was in communications, my brother in physical education, and we dropped it. We didn't go. We our registration, how to call it, our acceptance expired. We didn't attend college, and it was a risk. And I never let anyone tell me back then, that I couldn't pursue that dream. So every time I talk to kids today from all over the world, but especially from Brazil, and their parents, I try to be careful to not just say, outright, it's a better path in America. Drop Brazil. Get out of the pro route, right? It's not going to take you anywhere. I try to lead them in a direction that they will make that decision, but I try to weigh things in for the family, for the kids. And to answer your question, I always go back to math, and I'm awful in math, communication major. But in Brazil, elsewhere around the world, in Europe, right, in Spain, in England, if you take on that journey to be a professional player, that's it, right? It's one journey, right? There's no plan B, C, or D. I usually use that analogy with the plans, because if you don't make it, you fail. You gotta go back to school or find a job. You're not working your paths as a whole, right? Your plans as a whole. I usually tell the kids, if you come to America, let's say the plan A for me is to go to college and get a degree. But let's say the plan A is to be a professional footballer. Your B is to get a degree. Your C, and sometimes I flip flop those, because the C is to speak perfect English, right? Like we do today. It's not perfect. We still have an accent, but but the B sometimes comes ahead, because English. A lot of kids, they drop out of school after 2 3 years, and they're working with the perfect English. So B, you speak in English. C, you have a degree, and the D, which for me is one of the most important ones, and I think we take it for granted, and people don't realize that it's what America offers you. When I mean America, USA, as a whole, in terms of network opportunities, connections, right? We both probably have like 60, 70 countries that we don't pay a single penny to stay and stay with friends around the world. In Brazil, it's a very segmented society. You don't have like the gringos, you don't have the foreigners in Brazil. You see one, you spot him right there, right? That guy's not from here, right? So 24 years living in Brazil, I didn't have like a foreigner as a friend, right? So I always sell that path to family. It's okay for your kid to pursue the pro, right? I'm not against it. I did it myself. But just be mindful, that's the plan A. Here you have A, B, C, and D, and then infrastructure can't even compare, right? The facilities, the kits that a kid get it, and he gets so happy when you're in, the kits that the Nona offer the kids, right? The Lakeland United has, the college, offers you. You don't have that in 90% of clubs in Brazil. I could throw a number out there, right? And then the caring that they have with you, the psychological, the building of the pathway with all the structure that you have involved. I would always weigh in and say, come here. It's a better route, right? Try not, to stop them from dreaming with the pro level, but I think it's just more consistent. And the math, we're talking in lunch today, 100% of the kids that will try to go to college with some sort of different scholarships, they'll get it, right? In the pro, what is it, 1%, 0.5? Yeah. So the math will be the factor.
And you work a lot with international kids, most of it, 100% of it, with international kids. How do you feel is that interaction when they first come in? What do you think are the biggest challenges first? You go to Brazil and you get a kid that was either trying to play on the pro path. Most likely, the kids that you get here are the kids that can afford it. So it's those kids that went through a good school system and so on and so forth. But even though you're bringing them from a good family, from families that can actually afford it, what was the biggest challenge for them when they reach America? Because I did it, you've done it. Yeah. When we come here with our shoes and we say, "Oh, this is going to be a piece of cake," and then you start seeing how the game is so different here. What do you think is the biggest challenge for these international kids?
I think the number one, I just went briefly about that in the last question, is realizing that you're not a pro, right? It's not easy to be a pro. The mindset's different, right? In college, usually it's 3-for-3. I always say that you work, right, legally as an F1 student working on campus. You go to class, homework, class student, as a student, and then as a player. So it's juggling all that, realizing that your life is not 100% football, soccer, right? That's not who you are anymore. It's tough. Like I said, it's tough to accept that, right? I just signed a kid from Brazil, from Boa Vista Club in Rio, 2007 kid, young, very good kid. They were playing the U17. It was tough. The conversation I had with his dad. His dad is a pilot, is a airplane, pilot, aviator. And then he was saying that the biggest challenge is this, like he's gonna give 2 steps back to maybe give 3 forward, right? But for him, it's like, I'm dropping my dream, right? No, you're not. Maybe reroute your dreams. You still can be a pro. You still can, get drafted or sign a pro contract. So that shock is the first one, right? You're not gonna be a pro, or maybe, or you're a student right now. Especially the Brazilians, I know you know how it goes, Fabio. Every Brazilian thinks they are like they have the right to be a pro. They will get there, right? And the game in America, like USL Championship, MLS, USL League One, MLS Next Pro, it's growing. The level is good. And the second part of the answer will be the system of soccer that is run. We talk about that a lot. I know you guys go with that as well with the USL2 team. The system of physicality. It's very broad, right? Physicality, intensity, speed of play, right? The window that you have to start and finish a play. In Brazil, we're still playing 50, 60, 70 yards, right? Still, there's a lot of space, more time on the ball. Not saying it's better or worse, but it's a different kind of game, right? I have brought kids from Brazil. I have brought like grown men, like one that play for the Villages, Brave FC, you guys rival. He used to play in Serie B in Brazil, second division national. Like you guys have some as well, Janderson, some guys that you have. Those guys sometimes they're having trouble play against a 17, 18-year-old American kid because the level of intensity and speed of play is different. So that's one of the. It's not a philosophical matter, but it's a more practical, a day to day. They take time to adjust, and they can't believe sometimes like, but I play Serie D, Serie C, like why am I struggling here, right? Sometimes they don't even know the system, the soccer that is played is different, and that's something that I try to get from the Americans more than the Brazilian market.
Yeah, it's funny how here we talk to parents all the time on the youth level, not just with the Brazilians, but in the youth level, and we feel like they don't understand the levels, right? So you go from playing at a Nona gray team to an orange team to a black team to USL Academy to MLS Next, right? So you look at this four levels of play, and because you're dominating one level, it doesn't mean that you're ready for the three levels above you, and I think for us in Brazil, all South Americans in general, we think that soccer it's one of those. It's a common sense. Like if I dominate my level, I go to the next, I go to the next, and I go to the next. It's automatically. Sometimes you go up one level, and you never get out of the second level, and it's extremely hard for us to have those conversations because as we keep going high, up and up and up, and MLS is growing as much as they are, soccer in America is growing as much as they are. We're competing against the whole world. In Brazil, we're competing against Brazilians.
Yes.
Right? So it's still a lot. We still produce the best players in the world, but here you're competing against the best Argentinians, the best Colombians, the best Brazilians, so all together in the same market. So I think that's a big transition in terms of level.
There's a story. I don't know if you're aware of that and your audience, but about 2 years ago, maybe a little less than that, Marshall, prime top Division 1 today, Ricardo Silveira from 2SV, he organized a trip from Marshall to go to Brazil, and they played Botafogo U23. Right, we call the Aspirantes, like the B team, which will be the similar of the MLS Next Pro here today. So Marshall beat Botafogo 3-1, and the fitness coach of Botafogo, he's in Brazil national team U17 right now. Rafa Rocha is my buddy. He used to be my coach, my fitness coach at Portuguese 14 years ago. I remember he messaged me and asked me, "Is this a college? Is that real? There's no way. No, that's not a college. Like Marshall, the type of physicality and intensity, but also good players." And the best way to explain what we just put is this. Okay, but they're not only American kids. They're not only students. They are players from Bayern Munich, PSG, Benfica, and Valencia, whatever it is. They are converging to the college system, right? So when people question how I'm getting B, a pro-level team, right, the B team from Botafogo, how I'm getting beat by college students, because they were the same as you are, from all over the world, converging to a system that have more infrastructure than a lot of Brazilian clubs, right? So it's simple to explain, but a lot of people don't understand that. And like Marshall has a Brazilian right now there, João Roberto, he's in the bench, he's a sub. He has pictures training with Flamengo main team, with David Luiz, Felipe Luiz a couple years ago. He has pictures training with Simeone, Atlético de Madrid, Luis Suarez, João Felix, everybody in the picture with him. He was training he was at that level. He's a sub for Marshall, right? And a lot of times it's all about context, right? He doesn't have the type of game that they play, the physicality or the context of the tactics, what the tactics bring to the table. I don't talk about the struggle in Brazil, but there's also a struggle with the American parents to understand, like, Brazilians are creative, right? People say the Brazilians are most technical players. I usually say that Spanish and Japanese are more technical than Brazilians. Brazilians are very technical. The number one, for me, tool that a Brazilian still have, still number one in the world, is creativity, right? Resources, like putting something out of the hat, that getting out of pressure, controlling situations with the creative part, because we grew up playing in the streets. For me, that's the main symptom that America has to get over, right? You go in the streets, there's nobody playing with flip-flops like we used to, right? The car comes, you take the flip-flops out, the car passes, you put the flip-flops back as a goal, right? That for me, it's what's missing in America, right? Every house has a basketball hoop, but they never have like a little goal, right? And the soccer players, they're playing basketball and football in the weekends with their parents for fun. So why are you not playing barefoot in the streets, right? So the Americans also struggle to understand the lack of, you watch a U.S. Championship game, sometimes it lacks the creativity, right? But it's context. There's no right or wrong. There's no better or worse. It's the American market. It's built like that. But now more than ever, everything's converging here. And now is the time. We know the World Cup with the the club FIFA Club World Cup. Everything's happening now. I think there's a conversion now that I've never seen that movement of people from all over the world coming here, not only as players, as staff, as coaches, physical therapists. Everything looks to be converging right now. So, in my opinion, this is the place to be and the time to be.
Yeah, and the whole thing with college and pros, the level of NCAA D1, for example,
Yeah.
it's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. The problem I see is still not a full year season.
Oh, 100%.
So that's why USL two for us, Nona FC,
Yeah.
the Villages, Brave FC. Now we keep the level going for another 3 months, and
Yeah.
then we give them the competition level, especially when we play against each other, but also the playoff system and stuff, and that gives extends a little bit. I think if the NAIA D1 plays the whole year, like
Yeah.
there's talk since I played in
Yeah.
2005. I graduated
Every
from
year there's the talk.
yeah. Every year there's a talk to keep them. I think you'll be probably stronger than MLS Next Pro.
Yes.
I believe because
I believe so.
if you reach MLS Next Pro and if you don't have a homegrown contract, it's better to go to Marshall at that
Yes.
level,
Yeah.
continue to play the whole year, maybe come back or be drafted at the back end of it. So that's something that is a good debate, and we can talk a lot more about that. But I wanted to talk more, Taiwan, when it comes to the U.S. system. There is the World Cup. You work in soccer in the market that is new, relatively new.
Yeah.
Here in Florida, I think there's 2 or 3 programs like yours. I work in a completely different market, which is the youth soccer, which is becoming this crazy, amazing, huge business. There's the pro academies. There's the boarding schools. How do you see soccer in America in the next 5 years?
Another great question, and I will go back to what you just said. I love that argument and that topic. The 4 months, like the fall season right now, to be honest, like the Division Two NCAA. I don't know if it's a rule. I researched about that, but I forgot now. But all the teams from Division Two this year, they only play games in September. Because NAIA Division One, you're already playing games end of August. So Division Two, you played in September, and most teams, I would say 80-85%, were done by the end of October. That's a 2-month competition a year, right? That doesn't make any sense, right? And it hurts the argument when I'm talking to a family and selling them the dream. Oh yeah, the college is the youth, right? It's the pre-pro in America. How if it's 2-3 months, right? The NAIA Nationals just being played now. We are in the first week of December. They start in August. That's a max 4 months, 3 months and a half, 4 months.
And they have
right?
to be done by the end of the year.
Yes, and then
Because a new season,
yeah,
another
and
sport.
you mentioned the summer with Nona, but the spring is limited, right? Some teams do it like a pro team, right? Some teams like three trainings in a week. Oh, this on the spring semester focus on your job, on your grades, right? Get up your grades, but how will that propel the system as a whole, right? And then we have the MLS Academy, MLS Next, or whatever, ECNL, the type of leagues, USLA Academy that you guys are involved with. I think that the movements here, it's converging, like you said, there's talks every year, but I don't want to get into politics, but it has to be a little more serious than that for the good of the product, right? It's not for the good of club A, B, or C, for the good of the product and the system. There has to be a 9 to 10 month, right? Consistent. It doesn't have to be one competition, but a system like it is in college. There's multiples, like NAIA and NCAA are 2 different institutions, right? They're competitors. There's NAIA teams. I always say that because I was an NAIA product, right? You been in NAIA first year. NAIA is not better or worse. The team is whatever the recruiter brings to the table and the coaches bring to the field, right? There's no rule in America. It's a USL Championship could technically be better than MLS team. You won't because of the finances. It's a little bit different. But in college, there's no segregation, separation in terms of the rules, right? So if you change the system, the leagues will follow, right? The business will follow. So I think it has to be that change. one issue that I addressed just now was like the playing on the streets, playing growing up, like on the rack that you guys run on the young kids, right? Let them play 2v2, 3v3. That's what we do growing up, like on the beach, on our backyard, right? So have that passion from an early age to really play soccer because you have the passion, have fun, and you love it, right? But then the system embraces that, creates some structure. There's 9 to 10 months, right? If all ages, because the youth are already following that pathway for the 9 to 10 months. But in the college, which is my world, the college placement, I would like to see that change. And I think the conversion is happening. It will happen on a business scale, business level. It will happen. Everybody's putting their money here, putting their resources here, right? But I think it could happen that it's a scare now. They come here, they see that the system is not going to be like Europe or even Brazil, which has a lot of flaws, but it's a proper system that runs on a professional level. I think they might leave and say, listen, this is never going to change. It's not about the relegation or promotion because Americans we have that debate. I like it. It's a business. It's different. I don't have a problem with that, right? But I think it has to have that change to actually draw the people from the outside, right? The investors, the people from the world of soccer, the FIFA, the federations, but then get them to stay and make the American the leading market, like America is in almost everything.
I think the whole promotion delegation thing is crazy.
Yeah.
When people start talking about that, I am a semi-pro club owner, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want it.
Yeah.
Because the day that I got promoted, I think I go out of business. The country is so big.
Yeah.
So, it's got to be another way. Yes. Yeah. But I don't think promotion delegation is the thing. It's like, I remember when we qualified to play Open Cup. Right, it was awesome. We put 1,500 people over in Austin Tinder that year. Then we had to set up the whole thing like 3 weeks later to go to Tampa to play against the Rowdies. Then the next step would be Inter Miami.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Let me tell you a fun story. 2022, it was our best still to this date campaign on the UPSL. We made final 8, okay? And then we went to Georgia, and then we kind of fundraised like one of our players' parents paid for the hotel with us. He had like some points. He got a hotel for us and do a little fundraising to raise some money to go to Georgia. We lost. It was a quarterfinals nationals. We lost that final 8 to a team from Tennessee. And I remember at the end of the game, me and Nilo, one of our business partners, I look at him because if you had won, we would have to go to I think it was like Missouri or something like that, like buy flights for the kids and hotels, like a 4 or 5 day trip. We didn't have the budget for that. It wasn't.
There's no
planned.
way.
So I remember we look at Nilo and said, Nilo, as far as we got it as far as we could technically, like and physically, like great, let's go home. We were happy that we lost. We really wanted to win, but at the middle of the game, I was like, I feel relieved.
No, it's funny. I had this conversation here after the first year of USL. This is something that it's pretty funny to talk about. But after the first year of USL, that I understand how things work. Is like I don't want to go to playoffs because if we keep winning, yes, the league helps and we go from different things. But man, if you keep winning, every win is a $30,000 expense, and then you win again another 30,000. So there's no way for me to make it all the way to the final of USL, of USL 2, which is my level. It's a pretty expensive, even with the help of the league.
Yeah.
So there's some things so I don't see a team from USL Championship today that doesn't have a strong backing.
Yes.
Getting promoted to the MLS and go to New York one day and then go to California another day and then go like there's no way.
I don't know if you've been following like the NISA, the league NISA. I don't want to talk details because I don't have much details, but it looks like it's crumbling apart just because it's simple. Here's one thing that I admire about America: business, right? Business strong. We raise business from the ground, and that's what moves the country with the middle class and the lower middle class, right? The business, small and medium business, they are the backbone of this country, and it should be anywhere else. And that's one of the things that we have in Brazil. That Brazil's living 30 years ago because we don't have that mentality in Brazil as a whole, right? So when we talk about that, the MLS USL Championship, for me, it's tough because when I talk to my friends that have passion, I don't have a team, okay? I used to be Botafogo when I was younger, but they just won the whole thing now. But
it's easy to almost be Botafogo now, huh?
I used to be when I was a kid, but I start losing and when I start playing, I really don't. I root for people in charge of presidents and CEOs that are really good business people. I don't know. I started with this mentality like many years ago. So I don't have a club. So when I'm talking with my friends, they're passionate. They're like, it's a heated argument. They're like, what are you talking about? It's all about the passion. It's like, yeah, but the club is we never not gonna be a business. Every club in Brazil, you know that we get like the news in Brazil. They starting the year, or they have to sell three players, otherwise they're gonna bankrupt, and they have $700 million or Brazilian reais, right, in debt. Like it's not sustainable, right? Oh, let's talk about the relegation promotion. Yeah, Brazil does that. Yeah, how many sustainable and healthy businesses would have?
At the end of the year,
Yeah,
at the end of the year in Brazil this year, for example, the four teams getting delegated are the teams that got up last year.
yeah, can't sustain.
You won't be able to. And then luckily this year, for example, there's one club that nobody expected, which is Red Bull Bragantino. It's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
drop. But they have the best structure. They're going to come back next
Yep,
year.
yeah.
Everybody else, it's who's coming down, it's who should
Yeah.
come down.
Yeah.
So I'm not very democratic when it comes to the whole promotion delegation
Yeah.
thing because I don't know if I want to go up.
Yeah.
And then the day that I'm ready to go up, like to USL one, for example, and I have investors, or we're
Yeah.
good as a club, maybe we'll make that investment. But then I know what I'm getting myself into. It just winning, going in there, and having to do that. It's
We both run business, and when anybody from the outside come speak, I'm open. So let's have a conversation. But let's show you the business structure here, right? The expenses, the incomes. Let me propel this. Let me show you this, and tell me if it's reasonable, if it's sustainable.
no. And
right?
the best thing that I'm sure you hear also from like I do now, after what we've done with Nona Cup and with Nona FC. In the last 6-7 months, all I hear about is people that wants to come here and send me players. You help me sell this player. You help me sell that player.
Yeah.
There's no.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So this is one of those things that we have to be careful on this. But let's talk about the passion because this is something that I'm pretty interested about. I understand this business.
Yeah.
And I understand that you have to be cold when you're dealing with this and not deal with the emotions. But don't you think that passion could be used as one of the best business tools? I'll give you an example for Corinthians, for example, in Brazil. The power of that jersey, of those fans, what they're doing now to pay for the stadium, I don't think they're going to make it the 700 million or whatever, but it's amazing what they're doing. When you start moving, and then people say, how can I get Lakeland United to grow? You need to find a fan base.
Yep.
Somebody that's, when they put that jersey, they say, I belong on something, right? And somehow we were able to do that here in Lake Nona. When the kids put our jerseys, even after they leave, they come back and we say, hey, coach, I bleed orange. We heard that so many times that last year we did a T-shirt, bleed orange,
Nice.
I think that passion, it's something that moves still, that you can add value to it. So if you organize here and if you're doing this thing, the passion can help you pay that. Passion alone is not going to take you anywhere. But and I wish I could run Corinthians, right? To use that passion, those people that work for free into such a strong brand like that. And
Fabio, knowing your story and what you have built, I mean, it's tough what I'm gonna say, but like, I probably wouldn't be ready. I think you'll be ready. With all due respect to people that are working behind the scenes in the clubs in Brazil, I think there's still like a separation, like a segregation of like here America business, in Brazil it's passion. Like everything, like this political war that we live left and right, let's just try to stay in the middle. Let's try to find balance here. So I'm going to use Corinthians, also Flamengo, like 30, 40 million supporters, right? The two biggest ones in Brazil. The Flamengo and Corinthians passionate supporter, if you sell them a mug, a coffee mug for $100, and there's something special about the mug that you belong, they're gonna buy it, right? 40 million guys buying a mug, not all will buy. I'm just making an argument here. So for me, the passion is the tool and the fuel, right? That is not proper use. Who am I to say how people are running their business and their clubs in Brazil? But it started with the whole system of the non-profit and then, like you said, associative club, like there's people not getting paid. I'm rooting for the SAFs in Brazil, the SAFs, that we have the private investors coming in the clubs like they did in England with Chelsea, Man City, and so on. Because at the end of the day, you gotta use that passion, right? You gotta create products like you guys have here in Nona, 8, 10, 12 different products, right? the fan base, the community, they will come with the passion as and on the first page, right? The second page is business people taking care of that, right? Allocating and structuring, like how can I get this passion, right? And create products and create experience, like we've talked about today at lunch a lot. Experience always. What are you here for? Win and lose games? Yeah, but that's also not sustainable, right? That's what your club is about, mission to win. And you win is like, the movie, there's a Disney movie called the Soul movie, the animation. Once the guy gets to play on his dream, band and orchestra in an event, next day he's like, oh, but now what? Like, what's my mission? Yeah, your mission is the day to day, right? Your mission is this, it's winning life. It's not winning a trophy or not. And it's good to win trophies. But again, I think America has to learn a lot with Brazilians in terms of the passion of the whole, like 40 million guys supporting Corinthians, Flamengo. That's crazy, right? How are you funneling that? How are you using that as a business tool, right? As a community tool? Not properly, in my humble opinion. I think you get there in Corinthians, you could do some things that in your business mind it should be it should be like easy to do per se.
It's not easy to do, but
yeah.
it's something that I would like to do.
And the more I see, I'm like, it's not being done. I know we're gonna get there. It's not gonna be a spider web of too many things to deal with it.
Yeah.
But there's the market, right? There's the.
But going back, Tauan, I know we can. This is I love to do this podcast because every time we bring a guest here, we can talk for 7 hours. And one day I'm gonna bring like 10 people, Edgar, and we're gonna do this podcast with 10 people, and I can only imagine how many different areas we're gonna go into. But one thing that I wanted to go back to is the player development. So I want you to tell Lake Nona kids, the Nona Soccer Academy kids, I want you to tell us, what do you look for, right? When I give you a player, I say, hey, Tawan, this is a player that came out of Nona, and I need you to help me place him somewhere. Mm-hmm. In terms of characteristics, in terms of work ethics, in terms of school, what is the best client for you that once you get them, this kid go to college, and I know exactly he's gonna go to a big one like a UCF or Notre Dame or Wake Forest. What do you look for when it comes to a whole package player?
Yeah, I have two ready to go arguments for that kind of question, but one is more philosophical, one is more structured in terms of personality and tactics and style of play. Okay, the more philosophical, which is actually practical, is this: in 2024, there's no room anymore for guys, for kids, for young men and women. There are not the Cristiano Ronaldo, Tom Brady, and Kobe Bryant mentality. Okay, there's just not, because the margin's so slim.
I noticed that on USL.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The level of professionalism of these kids are up there.
And it's funny because, again, going back to Brazil, our home country, they're still not there, right? You still play a sloppy guy, you drink too much, you party too much. It still happens, still work, they still play. That's the one thing that I love about America. You can go 2-3 days with that, right? The system is the villain. I don't have to be as a director, as an owner, you as well. The system is the villain. You're out. You're not gonna progress, right? So that's number one. In 2024, I don't want to use morals here, drinking, partying, and having fun. We want the Cristiano Ronaldos that in an interview get the bottle of Coke and get it away, and he was a sponsor, and put a water in place. Like, this is what an athlete is, right? Soccer and sports in general, NBA is going the same route, and NFL as well. It's athlete based right now. It's not talent oriented, it's athlete oriented, okay? Whether we like it or not, fortunately or unfortunately. Like, for me, it's fortunate because I always believed in how I made it in the pro in Brazil was hard work, right? I remember me and my brother going down the stairs to training, and the fitness coach, today is just fitness. Brazilians used to hate it, right? Me and my brother used to look at each other and celebrate because I knew there was effort. I could beat those guys in the pro level with the 5K run or the fitness test. I could beat them. Technique, I couldn't. Well, I hated it. I wasn't a natural, but I was like, this is because I wasn't as good as those guys, right? Technically or cognitively. But I was like, from an early age, like, now I can put my mark. Because it's just running, right? It's tough. And I wasn't a natural. I used to struggle and puke. But I was like, this is my chance.
But we grew up with bad examples.
I know. I somehow I was able to get away. My dad, it's not that it was a bad example.
Because you're in the transition.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older than you are. I grew up with bad example, and
Yeah.
you grew up with the
Oh,
better. You grew up with not being
yeah.
your role
Cristiano
model.
Ronaldo got to United in 2008. That's when I got to my club. It
Yeah,
started the
it was
whole.
Kaká, Cristiano.
Yes.
Those guys are a
And then
different
Ronaldinho,
level.
Adriano, they were
Yeah,
dying. They were,
Ronaldinho,
yeah.
Adriano. I got
Yeah.
Romario, Tulio. It's like those guys.
Yeah.
They used to
Again,
say, "I don't want to
yeah.
practice."
Yeah, and it was and I still hear from I still hear that we laugh in the stories of Romario. We watch on Instagram the reels. It's
Yeah.
funny, but I don't want the kids to follow that. So that's number one. That's a given. There's no conversation, right? And in Lakeland United, we're not like the military culture. It's just like the training is very intense, right? We do like an hour and 20, an hour and 30, very intense, college pace, pro pace. If you're not it, you're not it, right? I don't have to be the villain. You can survive, right? That's one. So I get kids that still have that kind of behavior mentality. It's not going to happen. It's not going to go forward. I tell coaches, nope. College coaches call me and send a message. Can I get this kid? I said, nope, not good enough for you. Nope, he's not ready. And I tell the kids and I tell the parents, right? Just did this week with the one from South Africa. The mom was pretty upset, but we had to tell her the truth of the behavior and attitude of the kid. But anyway, the second one is I learned this in 2019 at Lindsey Wilson College with one of my biggest mentors and one of the biggest geniuses I've ever met in my life, which is Coach Ray Wells, that won 9 national championships with Lindsey Wilson College. The guy is a complete legend, and I love him. And he taught me way more about life than soccer and then that I could ever think of, right? And he told me this once because I was energetic like I am still am today, and he was more like, he's 60, probably 65, 66 right now. He was 60 back then, 6 years ago, and he wasn't the energetic coach that the guys would lay and you like take him off training stuff. I was never that type of guy, but I wanted some sort of a structure. And Stitch, which is now the head coach of Lindsey Wilson, was different as well. So we're all different, the three of us. And Coach Ray told me that. I said, Tauan, don't try to be like me or you're going to fail. If I try to be like you, I love you, brother. You're great. But if I try to be like you, I'm going to fail. And Stitch and us three together, be yourself. And he told me that about players. He taught me that. He's the best recruiter I've ever met. Okay, Fabio. Like, he's coming to Florida in 1 or 2 years. His wife is retiring. He's going to come here. We're going to have a conversation about how he can help all of us. He's the best recruiter we've ever met. I don't know if you guys saw a couple years ago, I think 2 years ago, Nathaniel Poco was a player from Syracuse that got signed by Leicester. It was the first college player that got signed in Premier League. He was Coach Ray Wells fine in Uganda. He came to Lindsey Wilson, played 2 years, transferred to Syracuse. He's the best recruiter I've ever met. But he's not finding talent. He finds talent slash personality slash context, right, in a way that he would explain to me. I had a problem, for example, with the Jamaican player when I was there. It's like, Tauan, Jamaicans come in a package, right? The attitude, it's like the Brazilians, right? If you take a Jamaican, you're embracing the package of Jamaican, right? So he told me that as a player, right, to succeed in the next level, be who you are, right? The truth will set us free. Be who. Don't try to be somebody else. I'm gonna give you an example to finish the answer. A left back comes to me and says, Coach, what do a left back needs in a video, right? I get that kind of question all the time. What's the best thing on a video of a left back? I said, it depends. So Marcelo and Felipe Luis, they were never, Marcelo a little bit more, but they were never up and down overlap kind of left back, right? They were never crossing left backs like Roberto Carlos and Cafu used to do, right? Used to be. Felipe Luis was slow, right, but technical, intelligent. For him, I always tell the kids, that's the three tools that you use as a left back because that's who you are, right? So I always tell the kids in our level, and when I get a chance to speak with kids at the youth level, Coach, what are you looking for in a striker? No, what am I looking at you? Who are you, right? I was a striker like you. It's a funny story. My friends make fun of me. I don't like scoring goals, Fabio. I was a striker and I was a pivot, like a hold-up player. And I love setting up the top guys behind me, the 10s and the 11s and the 7s. I love that. I live for that. And it hurt me in my career because a lot of coaches wanted a 9 to score goals, but that wasn't me. So you put my video on YouTube, there's like 6 or 7 goals, and then it's just hold-up player, passing, intelligence off the ball. But that was me, right? But coach, what if he wants a striker that score a lot of goals, but then he doesn't want me? Right? So I always tell the kids in a technical aspect, the kids in the youth, you can start developing this at 11, 12, 13. Who are you? Coach, I'm not that physical. In the game today is physicality. Okay, let's work around that, right? Sergio Busquets looks like an old lady right now. He's destroying on the Inter Miami because he's one of the smartest players that have ever played the game, right? Cognitive, one touch, smart. He never went the route of Kante. He never went that route. That's not him. But he found a niche of his type of skill that he can be the best and survive at the best scenario. And not only survive, but right, play around everybody and be perceived as a cracky, right? Like as a top player. So that's what I tell the kids in the youth. Don't try to be the Cristiano Ronaldo if that's not you, right? Attitude, 100%, right? Skill, technical ability. Find the 3. Don't try to find 6, 7 tools. Nobody has that. Just Messi and Neymar. Don't try to find 6, 7 tools. Find the 3 tools that define you as a player. Work on that from 10 to 17, right? Like specialize on that. That's what I usually say.
That's awesome. I sometimes we try to put the whole package
Yeah.
into the player, and you're not going to be able to. I was watching an interview today from Lucas from São Paulo. He plays for Tottenham. He
Yeah.
plays. He has what's his last name? Lucas Moura. He was saying that a player has used to be 3 things and now 4 things, right? You have the technical, the physical, the mental, and the social part of it now, right? So sometimes us South Americans, Brazilians especially, we're saying, "Oh, I am the most technical. I am the number 10, the crack of the team, and everything is good.
Yeah.
So I'm a grade A plus here.
Yeah.
But then physicality, I'm a C minus. And then intelligence in the game and mentally understanding the rules, I am a B.
Yeah.
And then my intellectual, my part of it, I am a D. So now my average is C, right? So then you have an American player, for example, that didn't grow up with this game, that the technical part, he is a C, but physically he's A plus.
Yeah.
Mentally and understanding of the game, he's a B plus.
Yeah.
And his social skills, his intellectual skills, everything, he's a A plus. So his average is a B plus. Oh, but how come my player is a much better player? Yes, he's a much better technical player.
Yeah.
The other guy is a much better all-around player, and that's what people don't understand now. And it's conversations like this that's the main reason of this podcast is for us to explain to the parents it's not good enough for you just to be technical. It's not good enough. It's nowadays in soccer nowadays. It's better to have an A plus physical player
Yep. Yep.
and nothing around
Yeah.
than an A plus technical player and nothing around.
And we as Brazilians, we sometimes watch a game like that. It's like, he's just an athlete. But then I played like in 2017. I was playing for the Lakeland Tropics, and we played a game against the New England Revolution B. They didn't have the MLS Next Pro back then, but it was the second team of the newly drafted, and the guys that were coming back from an injury. They were playing down on the second pro team for them. My team was incredible. Today, like Lucas Coutinho playing professional right now. Juan Tejada was just a MVP of the finals of the USL Championship. Juan wasn't even like a full starter of our team. He was sometimes in the bench, sometimes starting. Our USL team too was incredible. And we played the New England Revolution. We lost, like I think it was 3-1. And our least technical guy, Tav engaged, he scored a goal on a breakaway with speed because it was fast. One of the fastest guys we've played with. And that game, they were just athletes. They were technical. They didn't have the creativity, right? It was just like boom, boom, third man, like finding the pockets and putting the ball in the box, put it in, right? I was 27. I'm 34 now, 7 years ago. And at that moment, I realized that the game had changed. I couldn't touch the ball, Fabio. I couldn't breathe. Like, it looked like a train wreck, like passing through me. And I was like, what is happening? And I remember, again, I always question things. I'm a very question guy, like why, the why behind things. I remember my buddies finished the game. That's not soccer, man. I was like, yeah, but we just got destroyed. We couldn't touch the ball. That is soccer, and they're beating us, right? What's the root of it? What's the symptom, right? What's happening? And they were athletes. Athletes not like 100 dash 100-yard sprint. It's the point A to point B, right?
It's all around.
Yeah, it's specific small things in the field that you do it as more of an athlete, right? And just one comment, Fabio, quick with that. I will give an example to the parents of the kid that is going to college right now and being successful. Funny story that just happened. Last summer, playing the UPSL, right, lower level than you guys at USL2, we're playing a 4-3-3, and we have Hiroki Tsuda, one of the most technical and smart players I've ever coached in my life from Japan, and João Almeida, our captain right now, is still with us. We had a kid in the bench his name is Koshiki Fukudomi, Japanese. Played for Cauli College with Coach Rui Rivais, Brazilian. I didn't think Koshiki was brilliant, right? And I think Hiroki is brilliant on the ball. He's different, that center back. So Koshiki just played the nationals right now for NJCA Junior College. They were all over, schools were all over him. West Virginia, I think Marshall. Everybody was talking to him. He just signed with USF, right? He's coming to USF. He was a sub for our UPSL team, and I was exchanging some messages, some audios, like the Brazilians like, with our then head coach, now director of soccer, Eric Leite. And I was asking Eric, how do you actually rate Koshki, why is he going to you? Why he was the beast in the nationals? Everybody loves him. I love him, but I'm like, I don't think he's that special. He's very good. How do you rate that movement? And Eric gave me the answer just like you did right now. I said, Tauan, Koshki is a B plus in everything. Hiroki is an A plus on the ball. Defending, Koshki is more of a warrior than him. It's more physical, it's faster. So if you put all in a package, I think Koshki is what the USFs of the world want, right? And I was like, wow, because my mind, a Brazilian mind, is still trying to get away with it, but it still pulled me back in. Hiroki is brilliant on the ball. He's like Ganso, but as a center back. He does things that are on pressure, like, wow. But then he was like, Tauan Koshki, he's a 8.5 in everything. He's in nothing, he's a 9.5, 10, right? He's a B plus, almost A minus in everything. He's everything the college and the pro world is looking for. And that argument, like you just made, it makes completely sense, right? Brazilians are A plus, maybe technique and creativity. We lack the rest. We still do, Yeah. The ones that don't, they become a beast here in the college game still.
And I think that's the biggest difference, Tauan.
Yeah.
When now that working in soccer for so long and watching in every level, like my wife tells me, it's like, you want to go watch this? It's like, I don't want to go watch that. And then I get videos on my phone from players. I don't watch that anymore. I can't do it anymore. Don't send me a video. I'm not going to watch it. But because I don't like it. Like, so I send it to the coaches, and I appreciate people. I'm just kidding. Just keep sending them me the video. I'm just not going to watch it because it's I don't want to be evaluating because I don't have a team that I coach for. If I don't have a team, Fabio is not a coach anymore. Mm-hmm. So if I don't have a team, I don't have a style that I'm looking for.
Yes. Yeah.
So if I am a player, I like the big center forward that will score 30 goals a season, and 15 of those better be with a header.
I wouldn't play for you, but
but you see,
but it's context.
But that's my specialty. Yeah. That's how I was, and that's it.
That's how your lens see the world.
That's how I see it. So if I get a player that is going to be a center forward like Luis Suarez. Mm-hmm. But Luis Suarez, okay. Mm-hmm. It's not my style. I prefer Ibrahimovic.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Yeah. You can prefer Luis Suarez. I prefer Ibra. Yeah. And it's fine. So don't send me videos. but that's what we talk about because the coach needs to have that fit. But the players, they have to understand today is an all-around package.
Yep.
And that's when I started realizing that the levels of the game. Yeah. The levels of the game. We can give examples all over, but this is something that we are that the parents needs to understand and we need to start understanding. Being a top scoring of the silver division of any tournament that you go in the youth level does not make you.
The high school in America is the easiest argument. Right? Some high schools are good level, but and they're Americans mostly. Their American system, like the country's flooded with internationals. I'm not saying internationals are better. I'm saying that every single nation is here right now, right? So kids that, in my experience, I don't have experience that you guys have with the youth soccer here in America, but kids that come out of high school, I scored 30 goals in my high school season, and I watched the clip. I'm like, okay, you haven't even tested real soccer in your life, with all due respect, okay? And sometimes they pan out. Sometimes they have it, right? But let's test you, like some of your kids that you guys get up and play in the USL too. That's the best test, right? Are you actually ready? And some of the parents are, man, what can be that bigger and better than what my kids playing. Sometimes even USLA, even in the top youth leagues, and then they play with these guys that you guys have over the summer. Yeah. They speeding where the ball travels, and they speeding with everybody's is walking and moving and running. It's just different, right? It's just
It's so Tauan, to finish here. I know you have to drive all the way back to Lakeland, and I-4 is not going to be nice to you in the next 30 minutes. But what is your vision? What's your next plane? What can you tell us about your program? This is your elevator pitch. How do you see Lakeland United growing, and what's next for you?
Yeah. Well, my arguments and my ideas are always very subjective, philosophical, but put in a little bit of a more objective way. Just like you guys are doing here with the Nona community, we want to get the Lakeland community to embrace us. with not one product, but with a project and a product as a whole that will touch, right, the youth, the high school, the post grad, college preparation, college prep, and scholarships. And some guys were getting pro contracts. So we are taking some strides right now, moving some directions with a couple new projects to grow and build something that, like I said, simple math. We want 100% conversion rate in life of the kids, of the families that we touch, right? So have something in Lakeland. It could be with a school model. It could be with a club model, or all together. Build something, right? And we're having conversations and projects being done with potential investors right now, that we want to build something that will put together soccer, academics, and the whole projection that I said, from 7 years old to 18 to 20 to 24, right? As a one piece, right? As a one big project that will develop kids. And most importantly, I want all the kids that won't use soccer for much longer after their youth level, right, as a tool to succeed in life, to also succeed in life. So I always go back to the academics. That's what saved my life here in America, right? Kids, you got to go to school. I know you talk about Tesla and this and Steve Jobs and the guys that didn't go to school, that didn't get a degree. There's a Brazilian philosophical guys that say, like, it's a Cortella or the other one, I forgot.
Yeah.
He said, like, but the guy Steve Jobs or something, he dropped out of Harvard. It's like, okay, first you get into Harvard, you do two
Then you
semesters, and
can
then you
drop
can
it
drop, right? So education saved my life. Education is the goal, right? Soccer, basketball, which you guys have it as well. Any sports, they are just the handrail. They are just a helper, right? Education will give you a future, right? We're trying to get more into that business, right? With partners, no partner up with Nona, with the clubs from the area, with people, right, that share the same vision. So without sound, like I always say, that sound cheesy or cliche, right? Really change the kid's life by giving them a path, right? Using soccer, which is our main passion, as the main tool to attract and to give fun, passion, right? Creativity, freedom, express yourself with soccer, but knowing there's way more than that, right? We still work with soccer, but we don't play anymore, right? We probably, both of us do like 10% soccer, right? But we have the backstage, the soccer is around, right? The love is around, right? But we were able to make a life with that inside, but also outside of the soccer, or the soccer pitch. I always try to pass that to the families and the kids, right? Use the soccer, but taking programs like you guys with Nona here, take on programs that will actually going to develop you as a whole, you know?
Wow. What a
Not cliche.
I love to my part of the business, to talk to young leaders like yourself, Tawan, and kind of seeing that the soccer here in the U.S. are in good hands for the future.
Yeah.
We're still gonna have to go through a lot of hoops and a lot of political battles, but I think if more people like you are coming up in this market, more successful we're gonna be as a country, because we're now playing for this country now. We're all trying to add to the value into soccer in America, and I think the more people that we have like yourself will continue moving in the right direction. So thank you so much for coming here today. This is a podcast that we created for the families, and for us to try to reach as many people as possible. We've had between 300 and 2,000 people watching these episodes. It depends on the episode, and depends how we promote it. But I think if we can make a difference in one,
Yes.
every time we do an episode, there's one person that tells us, "Man, I learned so much from this," and I like that guy that you brought in. I think we're making our job. So thank you again, Edgar, for being here. My loyal behind the cameras, in front of the camera sometimes. Appreciate your time, Tawan. I appreciate you coming
Thank you, my
over,
friend.
and the doors are always open here for you. And hopefully, we get to do that friendly game next weekend,
Yes.
or hopefully not. If we win UPSL this weekend,
If you guys win, we'll be happy for you guys. If you guys lose, we'll get a nice event.
there you go. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. This is the 7th episode. There's a new one coming up next week. Will be fun. We'll try to promote a little bit earlier so you guys can plan to watch it. It's a surprise. I'll get back to you guys soon. Thank you very much, everybody. Once again, Nona Sports Cast. Well done. That was great.